Oh, oh shit. Hey, what's up, creator? Today I'm going to take you behind the scenes on how I took this photo. So I'm going to show you step by step how I set up the whole scene and also what gear I use to accomplish this kind of photo. And at the end, I'm also going to show you what Photoshop process or post-processing I've done here, just a little bit, just a rough walkthrough. And yeah, let's dive right into it. So let's talk about the gear I used on this photo shoot first. So one of the almost most important parts here is the Smoke Genie from PMI Gear, which is here in this magical box. And yes, it looks pretty fancy, pretty premium. And I also know what you're thinking. The price is also premium, of course, but they also have a smaller version of this because this one is about, I think, $700, and the smaller package is at around $400 or almost $400, I think they told me. This package comes with a lot of stuff in it. I'm just going to show you what I used on this photo shoot. Let me know if you want to see a full review of the Smoke Genie. And I'm telling you, this piece of gear can elevate your filmmaking or photography a whole lot. All right, let me show you the main compartments which I used here on this photo shoot. Click. So first of all, of course, this is the core compartment, which is the Smoke Genie itself. And this unfortunately doesn't come with batteries, which I have here inside, because of the regulations of the shipping. So it's not their fault that they are not shipping out batteries. It's because you cannot really ship from China or Hong Kong. I think they are based there. You cannot ship that stuff outside to other countries. And you also need the liquid, which is filled up in this little capsule, and you can easily refill it. It comes with this cloud formula from PMI Gear itself, and it's pretty, how do you say it, undangerous? Yeah, ingredients, vegetable glycerin, so not dangerous at all. Oh shit. Okay. Okay, fortunately I had this in this little plastic box kind of. And it's actually, this is for transportation, so you have to take it off or put it in this little thing here when you want to transport it. It's also my recommendation because you will have this full of liquid afterwards if you don't do it. You can easily take off the bottom part and just screw it on the Smoke Genie like this and take it off. And then I would also go in and screw it on a little bit more. And after that, you can just turn it on, as easy as that, pretty fast. And you can already start to smoke. And the second compartment I used from the Smoke Genie in the box is this little thing here, which is the ventilator. Sorry guys, it's pretty dark, but I want to show you how it looks like. And this makes it so easy to settle in the smoke in the whole room with this little thing here, which you usually don't really have with a bigger smoke or fog machine. Usually when I smoked the room, I had to bring some cardboards or reflectors, which I can use to spread the whole smoke in the room. Other compartments I used for this specific photo shoot was this tube and this extension, so I can put it here and extend the whole way of the smoke coming. You can also modify the smoke appearance with this kind of stuff here with all the modules you have in the box. Let me show you the box from inside actually. Here's also a remote, another flask up on the left upper corner, and some modules here which you can attach. So for every use you have other attachments where you can dial in the smoke very precisely, which you cannot do with a regular fog machine. Also, you cannot like fog out so quickly like this one. You saw it, I just turned it on and already I was able to smoke. So next important gear on the list is of course the camera, which was the A7 III, which I'm filming on right now to take the photos. And I paired my camera with the 55mm from Zeiss. It's a 55mm 1.8 lens, and this was my first ever lens for full frame, and it's still to date my favorite lens. So I really like this for portraits. And I also used an ND filter. And you probably ask, why do you need a ND filter if you can just settle down the shutter speed, etc. But I wanted to make the smoke and this light a little bit softer, so I turned down the shutter speed a little bit. So I had to counterpart this with an ND filter. As you can see, the diameter here is pretty small. So I always use a step-up ring like this for my 82mm ND filter or mist filter. And I also use the mist filter, which is on this right now. This is the Tiffin 1/4 mist filter, which is also awesome to use to get that kind of hazy look and a dreamy look. And I use this for almost every video project now. It's almost always on my lens like this. Okay, so the next piece of gear is the SmallRig RC 450B, and that B is very important for this shoot because I wanted to make the light yellow looking. There are two versions of this light, which one has only kind of daylight, and the B version, which I have, you can switch it to 2700 Kelvin, which I needed in this shoot. I also needed the full power almost. I set it to about 75% because I used the diffusion sheet, and this would not be able with the 60-watt light because I needed that power output to make that light shade. And speaking of that light, I also used this barn door here, which I have separately. And you can just put this on the reflector of the light in front of it. And I used these kind of clamps to clamp on the diffusion sheet. Another thing I used was this kind of C-stand, but it's not a C-stand. It's a more kind of cheap version of a C-stand. This is from Max, and it's a little bit sketchy because it doesn't work right. It's a little bit kind of loose, I think. After use it a couple times, it's not the best quality, so I was a little bit scared that that lamp is going to fall on my head, but I do everything for content, guys. And the tripod was actually not so important. I mean, what kind of tripod you use. So I used one from Sirui, I don't know, Sirui. And this is actually a video tripod, which is more stable and made for video, but it also worked because this was the only tripod I had in my office. And the good thing about the SmallRig light is that I can actually dial in the brightness of the light with the app, because I hang it up there and I was not able to reach the top of it, the knob, to just dial in the light and everything. Otherwise I would have taken it down every time, and this would take a lot of time and also a lot of effort to do it, because every time you just change the whole setup. But I also have this remote control, which you have to get separately, I think. SmallRig is just killing it in the whole camera equipment game right now. They just have everything. And other than that, they are also eco-friendly with recycled cardboard, I assume. All right, so this is the remote. I'm just gonna open it for you. I just keep that stuff usually in here. I already used it. So this is the remote, and you can just clamp it on the C-stand actually. So you can just take this part and this part, and voila, you can just clamp it everywhere you want. This also works flawlessly because with the app I just see with almost every light I have. Once you put away your phone, do something else like checking your shot list or so, and open the app again after a couple seconds or after a couple minutes, more than likely, you cannot control the light like immediately. You have to wait to reconnect and everything. I don't know, maybe I have the wrong settings on my phone or so, but yeah, this is what I experienced so far. And the very last piece of gear was the Godox Tubelight, which is this one. It's a TL60, and I use this for background lighting. Okay, so I set everything up. I put the light on the C-stand, and after that I just put my camera on the opposite of the corner of my office, so I have the kind of most depth. And then I put the tube light behind it, behind the couch actually, or actually an elevation, because you don't even see the couch in the shot, which I also wanted to be like that. And then I framed my overhead. And to check the framing, I used the Imagine Edge app on my smartphone, which is also not the best app, but I don't have an iPhone, so I cannot use Monitor Plus. So this was the easiest way to do it. And after that, I took some test shots, which you can see here right now. It was too bright. The light was blasting into my face, so I had to do something about it. But before I put the diffusion sheet on, I actually tried to soften the light with the smoke only. I thought this might help already with the kind of skin. There was no chance to do it. This was too bright for my face, so that's why I used the diffusion sheet. So I clamped the barn door attachment on the light, on the reflector, and also the diffusion sheet. But then I already thought, okay, I have to take at least 2 shots, one for just the light beam, which I wanted to have in the shot, and one with the diffusion sheet, which will show my face a little bit softer. And after that, I smoked, or I hazed the room full of smoke for a couple minutes, like 10-15 minutes straight, without any problems with the smoke genie, because the room is quite big actually to smoke. And after that, I set my camera to kind of, I don't know the name, to take a couple shots, like a series of pictures when I press down the shutter on my smartphone. So I just stand there, triggered that kind of mode, and it just took photos like clack, 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 clack. So I can move around and see what kind of pose looks the best, because I'm really not sure in these self-portraits. Sometimes I just have to take a couple photos and trash a lot of them. And then I see which pose I like, and also if the lighting is right. So I had to adjust it a little bit the whole time, just back and forward. And this is, I'm going to show you like before and after photos here with the diffusion, without the diffusion. And I constantly had to take a series and checked it on my camera, because on my smartphone the photos don't appear, I think, when I do photos in a series like that. And then also I have to reconnect my phone all the time. I really didn't like this kind of workflow. But yeah, it was the easiest one with the least equipment I have to carry around. Then I tried to put the smoke genie behind me, because it has a 1/4 inch thread, I think this is called, which is a normal thread which you also have on your camera. So I tried to put the smoke genie behind me on a tripod, because I wanted to have smoke behind me coming up, but that didn't look so cool because the smoke was too far away. So I used these modifiers I told you, the kind of rod with the plastic tube or silicone tube, to make it, to have it closer to my body, but that also didn't work so well. So then I decided to take the smoke genie in my hand and just smoke myself down below, which was out of frame. And yeah, this is how this photo turned out. Then this is how I took this photo, and this was the result here, which you can see here on the screen. I was pretty happy with it. I also took some clean plate with only the background, without the diffusion sheet, just a light beam, just the reflector with the light. So it was kind of tricky to focus, so I switched to direct manual focus, took one photo, get back to the camera, behind the camera, changed to manual mode, so it just stayed on that focus point. Took a couple photos with higher brackets and lower brackets, just to be safe. And after that I came home, imported everything, color graded, edited in Lightroom a little bit, and then I tried to import it into Photoshop. And there was that big problem that I smoked myself, and the smoke just ended on the diffusion sheet, which was a big problem, of course, because I have to Photoshop it away somehow, because I wanted to have the light coming down. The solution here would be to take the light a little bit higher next time, because it was hanging down because of the barn doors, which I added. So next time I have to take that maybe out of frame even, and then to take some clean plates with the reflector only. But I actually tried to solve this in post-production, which I also did, which you can see. And this is how it looked before, and this is how it looked afterward. And I think this was a pretty decent job. First I was like, oh no, I cannot do it. It's a lot to do, even especially with this kind of smoke, to make it look realistic. So I had some smoke brushes, fortunately. I purchased them from Care for Art, by the way. Added these different smoke masks with the randomizer, with this shuffle of rotation, so I can make it look more realistic. And yeah, this was then the end result. I hope this video was informative for you. I hope you learned something. I also definitely learned something on the shoot. It's always good to reflect yourself in the last photo shoot or video shoot you had, and improve yourself. And let me know if you enjoyed this kind of content. I also kind of vlogged the whole photo shoot. I don't know what kind of behind the scenes you enjoy more. This kind of behind the scenes where I just go straight to the point and show you how I've done it, or do you enjoy more a kind of raw behind the scenes, like in my last video, which I'm gonna link, where I take you through my thought processes where I don't even know how it's gonna look like, but I pretend or I share my vision with you, and then I'm already on the shoot and then share my thoughts, how I set up everything, what kind of obstacles I'm facing. So yeah, let me know which kind of content you like more, like this kind of content, like straight to the point, or how-tos, behind the scenes, whatever, or more like a raw behind the scenes. Otherwise, if you have any further questions, just let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.